What's happening, guys? Edgy Outdoors here, coming to you with a new knife review. This is the 0804CF from ZeroTolerance. It is the carbon fiber titanium frame lock knife from ZeroTolerance. I believe it came out last year, was when it was kind of the new knife last year. It is a large knife. It's a Todd Rexford collaboration with some pretty awesome features on this guy. First, let's go through some of the specs real quick just to get that out of the way. You guys can look these up, so I'm not going to overdo the specs. But overall length is 8.875 on this guy. So it's a big knife. Blade length is 3.875, almost 4 inches. The thickness actually isn't too bad. Thickness on the blade is only 0.16 inches, so it's a fairly narrow knife for the size of the blade. And the handle is only 1/2 inch thick. So it's, you know, it's not a, for being such a big knife, it doesn't feel quite as big as it is. You look at it, it looks big, but it doesn't feel quite as big as it actually is. So some of the cool features on this guy, again, obvious, you know, first is the carbon fiber handle. It's carbon fiber on one side, titanium on the other. As we look at this, if we were to zoom in here just a little bit, we'll see a couple of cool things. First of all, excuse me, it's machined titanium pocket clip and backspacer. Very nice. So some nice, you know, details put into this. You'll also see in here is a steel lock bar. So since it's a titanium handle, I wish some of the custom makers would put these steel inserts in there to help with their lock stick, but it has the steel insert. The lockup is amazing. If we look a little closer here, you can actually look and see the steel is CTS 204P, which is as good as it gets. It happens to be my favorite steel at holding an edge. Not my favorite to sharpen, but it is my favorite at holding an edge. I like it better than 110V for the stuff that I do with my knife, and I can bring back the edge a little bit easier. But it holds an edge forever. It is just really good steel. This is a flipper design, and the ball bearings inside are amazing. It flips open really easy. I've never had a quote-unquote misfire or failure to launch on this guy. It just goes. The other thing I like about this knife, because if we compare this to another knife kind of its size, we would look at like the 0560 or 561 from ZT. They're kind of similar in size, not in weight, but in size. 5 ounces is still pretty heavy, but the reason I'm comparing it to that guy is anybody that's played with one or had one on the couch watching TV or doing whatever, you know, after a couple times of flicking the 560, your fingers are starting to get raw from that extreme jimping. This guy, the detent is perfect. It opens 100% of the time. It is enough to hold it in place, but not so much that it hurts when you have to flick it open. It doesn't have that extreme jimping on it, which some people like the jimping. Again, I'm not doing like hardcore work, but you know, you've got a nice place for your finger to go to hold your hand. You can still choke up on it without it. I'm not somebody that thinks you have to have jimping on the knife in order for it to be useful to do press cutting with. It still fits in there just really nice with the size of this handle. It's beautiful how that works. So, you know, as we go through this, some use cases, for some people this might very well be their everyday carry, their pocket. You know, I would hope that most people that would spend $280 on a knife, which is what it's going for on Blade HQ, you know, it would be especially a production, it would be one that they don't mind carrying. And it would be one that could be a heavy use carrier, you know, with the frame lock that's in there, the steel that's in there. This is, you know, the carbon fiber. This could very easily be a heavy-duty, everyday folder that somebody would get a lot of use out of and definitely get that money out of. So I would say it's an everyday folder. You know, I use this when we went camping. So, you know, we used it just kind of for everything you do camping. It's kind of one of the ways I broke it in. A couple of camping trips, and, you know, my wife loved it. Fits in your hand nice, super comfortable. Just overall, it's a really comfortable, nice knife to have to use, quite frankly. So let's look at kind of what let's look at what this looks like compared to, say, the PM2. If we want to start comparing sizes, it's kind of hard to see just based on the angle of the camera, but the PM2 is about 1.5 inches shorter. They both carry about the same in your pocket. I will say the ZT feels a little bit bigger than that. But my favorite ZT to carry is the 450CF. It's lighter, it's more than enough knife for what I do on a daily basis, and it's way smaller in my pocket, which is nice. Makes it easy for me to grab no matter what I'm wearing and carry that. Or we can look at like the Benchmade 940. You can just see from a narrow perspective, it gives you almost as much blade in the 940, about 1/2 inch short, but certainly a lower profile. That being said, the 940s do not have the steel that this guy has. This guy's steel is amazing. So let's look at the good and the bad on this, and then whether or not I recommend it, right? So the good on this particular guy is obviously just the overall design of the knife. You know, Rexford made an actually a beautifully contoured, fits in your hand extremely well. The flipper works great. I mean, these are all good things about this knife. This light switch flipping action is the best light switch flipper I've ever had. I love the drop point, just the understated. It's just a very clean, very handsome looking blade. As we zoom in on it, you know, you could see just kind of the handsome details that they put into the shape of this blade. Feels good, looks good in your hand. It feels like a high-end knife when you're looking at this knife. The pocket clip is nice, fits great. I don't use pocket clips all that much, but you know, when I'm putting it in my jeans, which is typically the only time I would carry a knife this big, this pocket clip is great. I've had no issues with it. It's fairly stiff, so you may not want to do it with slacks or whatever, but the action on this guy is just beautiful. Overall, the design is great on this knife. So the things that I would change, I don't really look at it as good, bad, and ugly. I look at it more of like the great Nick Shabazz does, who's amazing. I look at it like, what do I like? I don't buy a knife if I think it's bad, right? Like, I don't buy a knife. But what would I change? What would I change if I had the ability to change? So first of all, a knife like this, you know, it's pretty expensive, you know, for it being a production knife. I would say that was something that I would change. I'm taking into account the fact that it's 204P steel. You know, that's a lot of carbon fiber on one side and a lot of titanium on the other. I get it for a knife this size, that, you know, the materials are a lot, but I do feel like they could have made this knife a little bit less expensive so it'd be more available to everybody. I don't think the everyday person's going to be buying this knife. I think it would really only be ZT collectors or, you know, high-end production knife collectors that are going to buy this. The thing that bugs me the most about this knife, I mean, I paid the money for it, so clearly the price wasn't that bad. I do also like the fact that it's made in the USA. I do not like the fact that they make this weird thing where the pocket clip goes into when you change it from right to left. They have the exact same thing on the other side. I don't like that because it looks like something is missing. It looks like something was taken off the knife when it wasn't taken off the knife, right? But it looks like something should be there. It looks like maybe a badge fell off, or, you know, something like that fell out of this spot. And it would be very easy. They could put, you know, they did it with the 220, put a badge in there, right? Or put just a piece of carbon fiber in there. A pop of color maybe would be kind of cool on this knife. Something to go into that, you know, pocket clip milled out area so it didn't look like something was supposed to be there and isn't. They could have filled it in and made it look really nice. It's a finishing touch that I think would have made this knife way more physically appealing to a lot of people. But those are really the two things that I would change on this knife, the price and just a little bit of this cosmetic stuff. Other than that, I really think it's a great design. I think it's a beautiful knife. You know, you have a lanyard hole, you've got all this titanium on it, all this milled titanium with the pocket clip and the back spacer. It's just, overall, it's really nice. It's light for the size. I mean, at 5 ounces, that's tremendous. So where we go here is, you know, we're at the end of the video, and it's would I recommend this knife? And so my response to that is, it depends. If you are looking for an everyday carry, you're not somebody that needs or wants a high-end blade, which is like most people out shopping for knives, my recommendation would be no. If there's not a reason for you to spend this much money on a knife like this, I would say do not buy this knife. There are many other knives that I would recommend. Even the PM2 would be a knife that I would recommend over that for just the everyday user. You get this PM2 for like 180 bucks, maybe 200, S110V steel, G10 handles, just a great everyday carry knife at, you know, say 100 bucks less. You know, there's a lot of other options too, right? Like even the original 940 with aluminum. This one's the KnifeWorks exclusive, but the original 940, you know, certainly that, I've seen people use the 940 as a heavy use blade a lot. You know, if you're not doing heavy duty work, I would recommend the 450. Again, it's about, you know, 60, 70 bucks cheaper, and I feel like it's an easier one to carry. Now, if you are somebody that likes the high-end production knives, then I would say yes. This is, I mean, this ZT is one you've got to have if you collect them, right? This is going to be, you know, a ZT that I think is a special ZT. So I definitely recommend it for those people that are looking to have a ZT, you know, Todd Rexford. If that stuff means something to you, then I do think that this is a great knife to get, and it's one that if you collect ZTs, you should have. That's the bottom line. I've got one. I have no plans to get rid of it. I love it. I can sit on the couch all day flipping this thing, and instead of breaking out the spinner toy like I have to do at work, right? At work, I pull out the spinner toy. At home, I pull out a knife like this that I can just keep flicking over and over again. So, and it's really nice to look at, feels good, holds an edge forever. It's just a really nice, well thought out knife. So that's it for this one, guys. Please leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear if you agree or disagree. Please be kind. I'm very sensitive, but make sure you leave those comments down below. We've got some other pretty cool ones lined up. I'm going to be recording a few of them today, but putting them out kind of staggered so I can be a little more consistent in how I put them out. We have some, even as summer's starting to approach, we're going to have some EDC stuff, not just knife stuff that we're going to put. I have a wallet that I'm going to review, and a few other things. So definitely leave comments, definitely hit the subscribe button. If you guys are interested in knife sharpening, please go to edgyknives.com, or you can contact me at edgystall on Instagram. I look forward to getting some feedback and hearing from you guys. Thanks. Have a great week.